The Raptors sweep the season series over the Detroit Pistons, taking tonight 118-97. Live from Real Sports, welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Paul Jones, Alvin Williams, and Sherman Hamilton. Sherman, I'll start with you because you already had a lot of wings. Pascal Siakam was unbelievable tonight.
I trust you.
It's really great to see that consistency. Just what did you think of his performance?
I'm sure you heard the conversation about not getting it going in the first half, and the second half push didn't work against Indiana. So no surprise that Pascal went after it from the jump, had an explosive second quarter. But again, the adjustments have to be made as the season goes along. If they're going to take care of what they can control, they've got to do what they can do in the moments that they can do it. And Pascal did a great job of that, especially in the complete first half. So it was just good to see a response like this, just understanding what's at stake and the urgency that they have to play with at this juncture.
Yeah, and Alvin, I just thought the start of the game in general was so huge for the Raptors. Felt like it really set the tone for the way the game went. How were they able to gain that advantage early on?
The urgency, as Sherman talked about, I think just coming out, their best players were their best players.
Yeah.
They didn't allow the young backcourt of the Pistons to dominate and be comfortable like the Indiana Pacers backcourt was, right? So I think just the urgency defensively and offensively was just something where the Pistons couldn't match it.
Yeah.
We talk about
Got a little something.
the first quarter.
Thank you.
In the Raptors' 7-game win streak at home, they won every first quarter. 32 points on 54% shooting. They lay an egg against Indiana, give up 30-odd points. I think they were down 34-26.
Yeah.
No such thing tonight. They come out, establish things, and to the point that Alvin and Sherman made about the urgency, and not, when there's an upset, the team that's not supposed to win plays well at the start. And the seeds of success start to be sown because of the way they play and the way the favorite doesn't play. There was none of that happening tonight.
Yeah.
There was just none of that happening the way the game started.
And they were undermanned a little bit today, but it didn't really matter, right? Was there a stat of the night that stuck out for you?
At one point, Pascal had only missed one shot. Like he had 20-something points on 8 shots.
It was 10 of 14 in the first half.
Yeah.
Finished 12 of 19.
I thought he did a good job attacking. And, I know it's Detroit, but I really like Chris Boucher's double-double off the bench. Played with a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy tonight.
Yeah, and on that point, Sherm, when Boucher goes back and looks at this season, at this point in the juncture, he's got to say that this has been a successful year for him, the way he's played, wouldn't you think?
For Chris?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think when you talk about the bench for the Raptors, he was the most consistent guy throughout the course of the season, even though he had some lulls. But overall, I thought he's had a pretty impactful season off the bench, and we saw the height of it. This is kind of where Chris Boucher is at his peak when he has a night like this with the block shots and the energy and the rebounding and the scoring. So, he's one of the guys that Nick Nurse could kind of check mark and say, when he comes into the game, I know what I'm going to get. And it's good to see him start to get back to that consistently towards the end of the regular season.
If you could get Boucher playing like that consistently, especially on the defensive end, like I liked tonight at the end of the game when he was out there with Koloko. You had a lot of long rim protection in the game. And one guy would have the guy engaged in the lane, and he's looking, he's pump faking, and then second man off the floor would get the block. If you could ever have Boucher and Koloko in the game at the same time with Scotty, Fred, and Pascal, or Gary, Fred, and Pascal on the outside, like you might have something going on the defense and the rebounding end. Because let's face it, if the Raptors aren't getting turnovers and steals, and by the way, what they get 25 more shots than the Pistons tonight, like the field goal attempt discrepancy was huge. If you could ever get that kind of defense with those two guys on the floor and maintain the offense with the other guys, that's a good combination.
Yeah, and Alvin, sticking with Koloko, it feels like that stint in the G League has helped, right? He looks different, wouldn't you say, from the beginning of the year? I mean, maybe the numbers aren't jumping off the page, but just he looks more comfortable.
Nah, I mean, possibly for sure, but during the course of the time when your minutes are up and down, it's hard to get into a rhythm, especially for young players. You got to constantly communicate with them. They got to constantly get work. They got to constantly get stuff with the coaches, film watch, and down in the G League and all of those things. But there's no guarantee. So I wouldn't say he looks different, but it's probably more comfortable, right? He's more comfortable. And to Jonesy's point, when you're playing against a team like the Pistons, they don't run a lot of action. They don't run a lot of things that's going to confuse you. It's like one action and go.
Right.
When you have a defense that can settle into that, now the question is, when you have this action, reverse, another action, and you got to stick to the script, you got to stick to the rotation, you got to stick to the details. That's the biggest problem when you talk about a Chris Boucher and a Koloko who plays with energy and plays that type of basketball. They have to still play with that type of energy, but that's when the detail comes in after that.
Right.
So tonight was a pattern game for them, right? The way the Detroit Pistons played, which is very valuable. But now the next step is when you start playing these other teams, playing playoffs and all of those things where the ball swings, pick and roll, step up, flare, dive, and now you got to touch, you got to get back out, you got to do all of those things. Those are the critical
That's
things.
That's unreachable for those guys, right? To be able to do that? You expect them to be able to do that at this point?
The challenge is when you're an energy guy, you're playing with energy.
Yeah.
And we had a player like that in JYD. JYD was our energy guy, but you could also go like this to JYD, ball fake, and go that way.
Yeah.
Like he's going after everything. His instincts just allowed him, which was valuable for him. And that's where minutes start getting limited because every situation is locked hard for that. So it's just one of those things where you know what you're getting. When Sherman said, Nick Nurse can check off the box, I know what I'm getting out of Chris Boucher. And I love it. I love what he does. I think he can do more when he runs the floor.
Yeah.
Find him. I think he can really he is a great asset to the team.
Did JYD really drive here in a pickup truck after he got traded to Toronto?
Yes.
That happened, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite story.
He had, I think, like fire flames on the door. Did it have fire flames on the door? It was like painted, customized. JYD. Woo, 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 woo.
Was he the most unique player, one of the most unique players you ever played with? Just in the way, the way he was.
Great dude though, man. Like in the locker room, always upbeat, just as upbeat.
Yeah.
It was like one of those dudes who's so upbeat all the time. You're like, it became annoying. Like one of those, you always gonna be happy. Like, but no, he was great. And I got a chance to play against JYD in college. And he was at Georgetown, and we used to have some good battles then. And then here at Toronto, he was that part. Like he was that guy that can guard multiple positions. You didn't have to draw up a play for him. He'll get follow-ups. He'll do something. And he's the guy who sacrificed his game a lot as well because JYD actually, he could handle a basketball. He could do a lot of things, but it just didn't require him to do it. So it was a heck of a teammate for us.
Sherman, let's go back to the defense. What impressed you most about their defense tonight? Obviously holding them under 100 points.
Well, I mean, you're playing against a guard in Jaden Ivey who's been playing pretty good.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to break people down and get into the paint. And I think he has more speed than Andrew Nembhard. I think he's more athletic than Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard's more of I get to my spots and I think my way through it.
Right.
And guards like Jaden Ivey with experience usually present problems for the Raptors because of their downhill penetration. They got hurt in the paint in the first half against Indiana. They made sure to not allow Jaden Ivey to penetrate and break them down off the dribble. So I like the fact that they protected their paint better. And even though he's a young player, Nembhard's a young player too, and he got it going. So it was good to see them take that step and just kind of shut that down and say, it's not going to be like that tonight.
Yeah, Malachi,
9 turnovers.
Malachi gets in. Malachi gets in, as does Jeff Doughton Jr. And we've talked about this before. I'm watching Doughton Jr. And
I like Jeff's game.
Just the way he lets it come to him. He doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't try to do too much. Guy comes at him, shot fake, one dribble, pull up.
He's really a classic point guard with some size. Runs the team, looks to get other people involved, but don't lay off me because I'll hurt you. And then he hurts you just enough to bring you back to guard him so we can get other people involved again. And he makes really sound decisions at crucial times. back end of the shot clock. He knows it's running down. He's one-on-one. Okay, I can't give it to anybody. I got to go here. Shot fake, get a guy in the air. Just little things like that. He's really, really good. He's really solid. I think if you're Nick Nurse, and I know they're doing the dance with him now around the 905 and how many games
he can play,
and
right.
like guaranteeing his contract and all of that stuff. But I mean, the kid can play, and I would take him on my team.
Quietly, he's a heck of an on-ball defender.
He is.
The word that comes to mind with Jeff Doughton is poise. He just has this controlled energy about when he's out there. There's no panic. If the shot clock's dying down, he knows how to manipulate the defense to get a shot off. He runs the team. He's just got great poise, energy. I don't even know if that's a term, but he's got that when he's on the floor.
There's a comment here from someone watching live on YouTube, Isaac Campbell. He says, shout out to Alvin Williams for being amazing. That's the comment.
Tell him the check is in the mail.
Yeah, I guess. You don't see that every day. And you're having a salad.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, making us all look bad.
Thank you.
Can we get a little bit of that?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Can't have any of my salad.
Sherman, any other?
That's what makes him amazing. You can't have the salad.
Can't have a salad. This is why he looks like this.
I'm telling you right now.
Stretching.
I don't want to lay you down in front of your pops.
My dad is here right now.
I don't lay you down.
My dad's listening.
I don't want to body slam you in front of pops. I don't want to get jumped.
He's still pretty tough.
I don't want to get jumped. I'm glad
still
somebody
pretty
is
tough.
in the family.
What do we got here? YouTube question. Hold on. Oh yeah, Mr. Cool. Mr. Cool says, as a Bucks fan, love your breakdowns. You guys are smart basketball minds. Raptors are a great team and underrated. So he's been watching our stuff too. So that's, I think that's for us too, us three.
I'll say this about the Raptors being underrated. They're a team with potential, and I don't see anybody at the top of the East, Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, like any of those. I don't see any of them putting their hand up and saying, yeah, we'll take Toronto in the first round. We want Toronto. It's not happening. It's not happening.
So if the Raptors make it into the 7th, 8th seed, they play Milwaukee, say play Boston. Realistically, if you're playing the best basketball that you're playing, which I don't think we've seen it from the Raptors this season, if they're playing their best basketball, you've got a series there for sure.
I just think you get to lock in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean the other team doesn't get to lock in either, and they got Giannis, or they got Jason Tatum, or they got Embiid, or, I mean, they're good. But you got to try to make it a series. And when you think about Nick Nurse's success against some of these teams, he's got some schemes. He's got some game plans for them, and it's just a matter of trying to execute them. I mean, you can have a quick series, but it looks one way on paper and it's another way in reality. You know, I think back to Sam Mitchell's second year here, where the Orlando Magic went to the NBA Finals in 2009. And they beat Toronto in 5 games. Outside of game 1, the last 4 games in the series were all decided within 2 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, it was a 4-1, a gentleman's sweep for Orlando.
Yeah.
But every game was hanging in the balance in the last 2 minutes.
Right. Speaking of hanging in the balance, we've got a fan question. Come on in, Ali. It's a little, just Ali, you can just go underneath. Yeah, do a limbo. What's up, man? How are you?
How are you? Good.
Paul Jones, Alvin Williams, Sherman Hamilton. You probably know these guys.
Of course, I watch you guys after the games. I already know how it works.
Appreciate that. Thanks. So, Ed, what do you got?
So my question is, ever since we acquired Yak, we're packing the paint way less because we have proper rim protection, but our perimeter defense is still lacking. So I was wondering, how do you guys think we could fix that before the playoffs, or, before we get into the playoffs, pretty much?
Yeah, okay. Sherm, you're the defensive specialist in this panel.
Yeah, all right. All right.
That's his way of saying they didn't let you shoot, right?
Well, first of all, you are who you are at this point of the season, right?
Yep.
You're not going to pull any punches. you can do some things better, and the Raptors have shown that they can be a better defensive team, but you also have to incorporate the lulls in the defense and how do they fix that. But if the Raptors are locked in, they're a very good defensive team. They can do a lot of good things with their length and their communication, their quickness. And you mentioned Jakob Poeltl on the back line. He's a great person in that defensive scheme, but they got to be consistent with it. And that's where they've struggled, unfortunately. But when they're locked in,
yeah, like the previous game with Indiana, they got three-pointers off of us at will. All the three-pointers went in. So, yeah, if they're more consistent within our perimeter defense, I think we're a great defensive team.
Yeah. Any other comments?
I think Sherm's exactly right. I was going to say the same thing. You've been square all year. You don't all of a sudden become round. Like there are some things that are long lasting. They're residual. They're going to carry over into the playoffs. But the other point is, it's one team now. It's not, we got to prep for another team 2 nights from now, and then there's a back-to-back or 3 and 4 nights, all of that stuff. You've got one team to lock in on. And, I mean, they might be able to cause some huge problems if they are focused defensively.
I will say this, too. You could just get better at getting up into a guy who's got the ball, right? Your on-ball defense could just be better by energy, right?
Yeah, it can be, but you're playing in the NBA. And the more you pressure guys, the more pretty much you invite guys to go by you.
Right.
So once you play that style, you're inviting guys to go by you into somebody like Poeltl, which is a good thing, or into somebody like Koloko, or like you saw tonight, shot blocking. But it's always critical for a player and a team to recognize what the other team's strengths are, whether it's Indiana Pacers. What do they like to do? They like to shoot the three.
Yeah.
So now, how do we defend it? You defend the three by, first of all, not turning the ball over, but also maintaining the basketball, the ball handler, not allowing the defense to break down, to kick out for threes. So you have to your point, perimeter defense, but it's going to take individual effort. If you look at a lot of the Raptors players, once they get somebody on the hip, they start reaching. They don't try to get back in front. They stay on the side or in the hip, engage the big. Now someone else has to rotate. That's a kick. That's a throw over the top. So many other things. First and foremost, you got to be able to contain the basketball. If you don't, then your defense is going to be broken down all the time. So you can play with energy, but energy is only going to take you so far. You got to play with smarts. You got to play with know-hows, and you got to be loyal to the philosophy.
Good stuff. You want to shoot for appetizers? Wait, let's see your form first. See what you got. All right, he's jumping a little bit, just the way you like, right?
What's it called?
Jump shot.
Okay, that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what I thought.
All right, step up to the line. Hold on. Yeah, that's the line. All right, anytime you're ready, let's go. Oh, all right, two more. Maybe don't jump. One more chance. Let's go, Allie. Oh! All right, good try. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Good stuff, man.
Good job.
Yeah, great job. Still think people should jump from 2 feet there?
Do whatever you like them to do. All pro.
All right, one more thing before we wrap it up here. This is from a couple of shows ago. Wobble Kuhn, that's his name. Not sure where that comes from. Okay, these guys got to chill with the Jokic no defense equals no MVP. He's already 2-time MVP. It's not a fluke. He wasn't some defensive juggernaut for those 2 years either. He didn't suddenly decide to not play defense this year. Shaq won MVP without defense too.
No.
so tell homeboy I don't have to chill.
Yeah.
I said my MVP plays defense.
My MVP. Let me ask you this. I'd like to ask him, if he had to win a series and had a choice to take Giannis, Jokic, or Embiid, what would the order be? In which order would he pick?
Great question.
That's all.
I don't care. My MVP plays defense.
Mine too.
Bottom
Mine
line.
too. All you have to do is look at guys on the break, when they're going in on the break, when they see Giannis back there, they're not going at him. Not the same way they're going at Jokic.
All I'm saying is homeboy better not show his face around here. It sound like it's some real beef. Sherman said, first of all, I ain't got to chill.
Man told me to chill. He could have just stated what he had to say and not tell me to chill.
Was he talking to y'all?
He said we got to chill.
I think it was a previous show. I don't know. Were you on that show?
yeah.
I was too.
Yeah. You were on that show.
Y'all need
Eric
to
was.
chill, dog.
You weren't on that show, but Eric
you're
was.
telling us we need to chill too?
No, that's what he was saying.
I know. That's why I said.
Who's your MVP?
I don't have an MVP because honestly, I don't like the narrative and when it begins and when the whole it starts the first month of the season.
Yeah.
And then those players carry it out the whole time. No one has a chance.
Right.
No one has a chance to get MVP at all. Like no one from Sacramento gets looked at. This team wasn't supposed to be anything. Like a lot of and I'm not saying they are, but it's just like, all right, we put these 5 players out, and it's going to be up to them to follow out the race. Now you don't hear much about Luka or Ja or Steph. Or
Okay, but of the people that are in the conversation, who would be your MVP?
Embiid.
Because you dancing.
You take Embiid.
I'm not dancing, but I'm taking Embiid. But I'm the same thing. The MVP that I will look at is the guy that impacts the game both ways.
All right, let me give you this.
But the on-off court numbers are crazy, right? These plus 27.
Eye test.
when
Don't
he's
give me
on
the
team.
numbers, man. Don't give me the numbers.
They are better when he's on the court. That's the most valuable player. Jokic. They're minus 13 when he's off the court. They're plus 14 when he's on the court. That's plus 27
But
difference.
look at, they lost a set of 4 games in a row with everybody using the same game plan against them.
Yeah.
There was a play last week, Cleveland, and I think, Sherman, we talked about this on the podcast. Cleveland was playing Philadelphia. Jetty Osman drove to the hoop, went up in the air for a left-hand layup. The sun disappeared. Embiid jumped straight up. He was going to get blocked. Osman passed it behind his back to Evan Mobley on the other side of the hoop. Embiid came down, didn't even look, hit the floor, bounded back up with the other hand, and blocked the shot. To me, that's impacting the game.
Oh, he's good.
It would have been a go-ahead dunk.
Yeah.
Like, to me, those are things that there's only a handful of guys that can make that play.
Yeah.
Who's your MVP?
I mean, if
Sound like it's Joker, huh?
well, because
You
he's
wanna go
having
by
a
the
better
numbers?
season than he did the other 2 seasons, and they're number 1 in the West.
That doesn't mean he should have won it the other 2.
He took, he won 48 games last year with a team.
He won
that-
it?
Well, that team. Did you see
They were
their
6.
starting lineup? Their starting lineup was not good. I mean, I think Embiid is great. Giannis is great. It's a tough decision, honestly.
It's not tough.
I think.
It ain't tough.
I think your point is really interesting. Like, if you were to pick one of those guys in a 7-game series, I'd probably go with Giannis.
I'd
go with Giannis.
I do like the idea of possibly to win these different accolades, individual work, a certain amount of a minimum of games have to be played or missed.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have somebody missing 15 games and then a Joker plays 95% of the games and B plays 9, and then someone plays. I think that's a good place to start when you're talking about giving these awards out.
So you have Giannis.
I would vote for Giannis.
You have
I'd have Giannis.
Giannis, and you would have Embiid. Yeah, it's tough. I'd
Talking
probably
about
take
minimum
Embiid.
games, OG Anunoby on course this year to be the second Raptor ever to lead in one of the major 5 categories, right? Points, rebounds, steals, assists, blocks. We had Marcus Camby in Toronto lead in blocks one year. Never had another player lead the league in any of those 5. Raptors have 3 guys in the top 10 in steals. OG's at the top of the list.
All right, good stuff, guys. Great show tonight. We'll do it again on Sunday. Next game for the Raptors, Sunday night, still at home against the Washington Wizards. Tip-off goes early, 6 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, come by Real Sports, be a part of the show, shoot some hoops. Alvin will give you shooting tips. It's going to be great. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.